Welcome to the darkness you never knew was real. Tonight, we dive into a chilling tale where fear creeps in slowly and never leaves. Turn off the lights, if you dare, and let the story begin. I'm not someone who scares easily. I've stayed home alone plenty of times. Weekends, even entire weeks when my parents traveled. I'm used to creaky floors, flickering lights, and weird neighborhood noises. But this time was different. This time, someone tried to kill me. On Friday, my parents had left that morning to attend my cousin's wedding in another state. I was 17 and insisted on staying home. I had school, projects, and honestly, I liked having the house to myself. It was a normal day. I came home from school, dropped my bag, grabbed some chips, and started a movie. No homework, no stress. By 7 p.m., the sky was dark and rain had started tapping against the windows. Cozy weather. I made some noodles, turned on hallway lights, and texted my parents goodnight. They replied with heart emojis. I never realized that would be the last normal message for the next 36 hours. Around 10:30 p.m., I was brushing my teeth, ready to crash on the couch with another movie when I heard a noise from outside, like metal clinking. Not loud, just a quick clang near the backyard. I turned off the water and listened. Nothing. I shrugged. Probably the wind pushing a loose fence board. But 5 minutes later, just as I turned the living room lights off, the noise came again. I grabbed my phone and turned on the backyard light. Nothing there. The rain had stopped. The grass was still wet, but nothing moved. I checked all doors and windows. Locked. So I went to bed. I wish I hadn't. Around 2:17 a.m., I woke up to a click. Not from my phone. Not a creak. A definite click, like a door unlocking. I sat up fast, heart already thudding. The hallway was dark. I hadn't left it that way. Then I noticed something worse. The kitchen light was on. I had turned every light off before sleeping. I stayed frozen in bed for a moment. Listened. Then, one single footstep. In the living room. I knew that sound. The wooden plank near the TV always creaked if you stepped in the middle. I wasn't alone. I grabbed my phone and quietly crawled toward the closet, heart in my throat. I got inside, pulled the door shut, and called 911 with shaking hands. The dispatcher picked up fast. 911, what's your emergency? I whispered, someone's in my house. I'm in my closet. I heard him. I think he broke in. She asked for my address, told me to stay quiet, said officers were being dispatched. But as I spoke, I could hear him walking. Slow, careful. Then my bedroom door creaked open. I didn't breathe. He walked in. I heard his shoes against the carpet. Soft thuds. He stopped for a while. The silence stretched. Then, the closet door moved, but didn't open. Just a tug. A test. I clenched my teeth. He stood there. I could hear him breathing. Then he walked away. I waited, barely blinking, for what felt like forever. 10 minutes later, I heard sirens loud near than tires on gravel. The front door burst open and heavy boots pounded down the hall. I stumbled out, gasping, and ran straight into an officer. He checked the house. Nobody. Back door open, muddy footprints on the floor. But whoever was had escaped just minutes before they arrived. The police stayed for an hour. They said it looked like someone had picked the back door lock. Not a random burglar, someone careful. Smart. They advised me to leave the house, but I refused. I didn't want to show fear. Plus, I had no relatives nearby. So they changed the locks, took prints, and told me to call immediately if anything else happened. I locked myself in my room with a chair against the door and a baseball bat beside me. But I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Day 2. Saturday, 10 a.m. I spent the day trying to act normal. Ate, showered, played games, texted friends. I even told my parents everything was fine. Didn't want to scare them while they were traveling. But I checked every lock twice. Kept the lights on. Every movement outside made me flinch. Still, nothing happened all day. Around 10:45 p.m., it was raining again. I made tea, read a book, try to believe it was over. Maybe the guy didn't know I was home. Maybe it was a one-time break-in. I was wrong. Around 11 p.m., the power went out. Just like that. Silence. Darkness. No wind. No storm. Just the unmistakable cut of electricity. And then, my phone buzzed. One new text. Unknown number. Hiding again. I stared at the screen. My blood ran cold. Another message came. You didn't check the basement. My basement had its own breaker box. The power could be cut manually from inside. I backed away from the kitchen, heart racing. The house was too quiet. Then I heard it. Footsteps from the basement stairs. Slow. Heavy. Coming up. I ran. Didn't think. Just ran up to the second floor, into the attic hatch in the hallway ceiling. It had a pull rope and a crawl space. I got up just as I heard the basement door creak, open downstairs. I curled into the attic corner, phone in hand, not even daring to breathe. The man walked slowly through the house. I could hear it all, his shoes dragging softly on the hardwood. One room at a time, then up the stairs. I dialed 911 again, whispered to the dispatcher. She stayed on the line, whispering back. The man came to the second floor, walked into my bedroom. I heard the bat fall, the closet door open. Silence. Then the chair scraping across the floor. He was searching, room by room. When he got near the attic ladder, I thought I was dead. He stood right beneath me, silent. Then, he tapped the ceiling once. A slow, deliberate knock. Like he knew, but he didn't pull the hatch. He walked away. 5 minutes later, I heard police sirens again. Then yelling, doors bursting, running. And then, a voice from below. You can come down now. We've got him. They caught him in the backyard, trying to escape through the trees. A man in his 30s. No ID. No explanation. Just a hunting knife, a burner phone, and a list of local addresses in his pocket. My address was circled. They said he'd been stalking homes for weeks. Never caught. No one had ever seen him. But he made a mistake with me, staying too long. I still live in the same house, but I sleep with the lights on now. I got security cameras, motion sensors, bars on the basement windows. Sometimes I get texts from unknown numbers. I block them all, but every so often, when the power flickers and the night is a little too quiet, I wonder if he was working alone, and if someone else still remembers that I forgot to check the basement. I've never believed in ghosts. Not really. Sure, I've had moments, strange feelings, weird dreams, but I always blamed sleep deprivation or overthinking. That changed last month, when my parents left me home alone for 2 nights, and something tried to come inside. On Friday, around 5 p.m., my parents left for a weekend work retreat. I had the house to myself, my favorite kind of peace. A 2-story, older suburban home. Wooden floors, creaky pipes, tons of corners where the light doesn't reach. I was used to it. I'd grown up there. Still, the silence hit different when I closed the door behind them. Like the air went still. Heavier. I ignored it. Made noodles. Played loud music. Tried to enjoy the calm. That evening, I noticed something strange. The door to the guest bedroom was open. Now, that might sound normal, but I knew I closed it earlier. We always kept it shut. No one used that room anymore. Not since my uncle passed in it 5 years ago. Natural causes, but still. I chalked it up to a draft. Closed the door again. Around 11:20 p.m., I was watching a movie in the living room when I heard it. A click upstairs. Like a door handle turning. I paused the movie. Waited. Another click. Then a soft thump. I thought maybe I left a window open in the hallway. But when I went upstairs, every window was shut. What wasn't shut was the guest room door. Wide open. The room was dark, quiet, but the air inside felt colder. I shut it again, harder this time. Made sure the latch clicked. I even muttered, "Stop it," under my breath. As if that ever works. Around 1 a.m., I woke up to a sound that didn't belong. Knocking. From inside the house. Soft. Rhythmic. 3 knocks. Then silence. I sat up, heart thudding. It wasn't the front door. It wasn't the windows. It came again. This time from upstairs. I crept up the staircase slowly, every step groaning beneath me. The hallway light flickered once, just once, then came back, and the guest room door was open again. I stood there for what felt like hours. I didn't go in. I just closed it, locked it this time. I returned to my room, left my door open a crack, and tried to sleep. I didn't. On the next morning, I tried to brush it off. I told myself it was old house stuff. Settling wood, wind, maybe my imagination. But I avoided that hallway. I avoided looking at the guest room door. Still locked, still closed. That evening, around 7, I got curious. I pulled out the blueprints of the house my dad kept in a drawer, just to distract myself. That's when I noticed something weird. Our hallway upstairs had 3 doors: my bedroom, the bathroom, and the guest room. But the blueprint showed 4. A 4th door, small, at the far end of the hall. I checked. There was no 4th door, just a stretch of wall. Nothing there. So I ran my hand along the wall, right where the blueprint said it should be, and felt an outline. Faint, but real. A square seam in the wallpaper, like a hidden door had been covered up. I pressed against it. Nothing moved. That's when I noticed it. There were new scratch marks on the floor, right in front of the guest room. It was midnight, 12 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard faint creaks from upstairs. Not footsteps, not knocks, just a slow shifting, like someone turning over in bed. But I was the only one home. I finally got up. I had to see it again. When I walked into the hallway, every door was wide open. My room, the bathroom, and the guest room. And at the end of the hall, there was now a 4th door. It hadn't been there earlier, but now it stood barely ajar. No hundred, just blackness beyond it. I didn't go near it. I backed into my room, slammed the door, locked it. Then came the whisper, "Don't open the 3rd door." It was clear, female, not angry, just final. It came from inside the hallway. I stayed in my room the rest of the night, lights on, blanket up to my chin, holding my phone but too scared to call anyone. Early in the morning around, I dozed off. I woke to my door slowly opening. I swear I locked it, but now it creaked open, and someone was standing in the hallway. A figure, no features, just darkness shaped like a person. Still, watching. I blinked. They were gone. I got up, walked to the hallway. Every door was closed again, even a 4th one. I reached for it. Don't ask me why, but my hand wouldn't move. I mean that literally. It was like my body locked up. Every muscle froze. My fingers hovered inches from the knob less wood. Then I heard breathing. Behind the door. Shallow. Fussed. Desperate. Then came the knock. From the inside. 3 times. Then silence. Later that morning, when my parents got home around 10 a.m., the first thing they said was, "Why was the guest room open?" I hadn't opened it since the night before. I asked if the house ever had a 4th room. They looked at me like I was crazy. No, it's always had 3 upstairs. I showed them the blueprint. They squinted, confused, then said, "That's not our house." But it had our address, our layout, just that extra door. I haven't heard the knocks since. But sometimes at night, when the house is still, I check the hallway. And every now and then, for just a second, I see it. A 4th door, just at the edge of sight, closed tight, but I can still hear breathing behind it. And I remember the whisper, "Don't open the 3rd door." I was 18 when I agreed to house sit for my Uncle Mark. He had to leave town for a week due to a medical conference, and he offered me a few $100 just to keep his house in check, feed his cat, water his plants, and lock up at night. Easy money, right? I'd only been to his place once before. It was an old colonial-style house, tucked at the edge of a wooded road about 40 minutes from town. Big, quiet, too quiet. He left me the keys, gave me a rundown of what not to do. "Don't open the attic. It sticks," he said, and then he was gone. I arrived late in the afternoon. Everything was fine, until it wasn't. On the day of arrival, the house creaked more than I remembered. Wooden floors that groaned under every step, long curtains that swayed despite closed windows. But I told myself that's just how old houses are. I fed the cat, an all-black thing named Ember, and made myself at home in the guest room. But that first night, I noticed something weird. There was a room at the end of the upstairs hall. The door was painted the same color as the wall, so it almost blended in. No handle, just a keyhole. I didn't remember seeing it during my last visit. Maybe I just missed it. I tried to open it. Locked. I didn't think much of it, until Ember sat directly in front of it for almost 3 hours, just staring. Her tail twitched. Her ears laid flat. Not a single sound came from inside, but she wouldn't move. That night, I heard scratching. Not from the walls. From inside that room. On the second day, I texted my uncle the next morning. "Hey, what's the locked room at the end of the hall?" Uncle Mark replied, "There's no locked room." I replied saying, "There is. No handle, just a keyhole." Uncle Mark replied, "That shouldn't be there." "You sure?" I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say. That night, I heard whispering. It started just past 1 a.m., soft, unintelligible words. Male. Maybe 2 voices. From the hall. I opened the guest room door. The hallway was empty. But that hidden door, the one with the keyhole, was now open a crack. Just wide enough to see darkness behind it. Deeper than it should have been. Like it didn't lead to a room, but to somewhere else. I slammed it shut. This time, it clicked as if locking itself. I tried to push it open again. Wouldn't budge. On the third day, I decided to investigate. I remembered where my uncle kept his old brass keys. A set he said didn't match any doors anymore. One of them fit the keyhole. I waited until mid-afternoon, when the sun was bright, and every part of me screamed, "Don't do this." But I opened it. Behind the door wasn't a bedroom. It was a tiny square space with cracked wallpaper, one high window covered in grime, and a child-sized wooden chair in the middle. That was it. But the air didn't move. It felt dead, like the room had been sealed off from time itself. And then I saw the carvings. On the walls, deep gouges, all in the same spiral pattern. Circling, repeating, and on the chair, a name carved into the wood. Caleb. I backed out, closed the door, but it didn't feel like I had shut it behind me. It felt like something followed me out. At that night, Ember wouldn't stop growling. She hissed at empty corners, refused to eat. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up unable to breathe. Not like choking, like the air had been sucked out of the room. I sat up gasping, and that's when I saw the chair. It was in my room, the same one from that hidden space, right at the end of my bed, facing me. I hadn't brought it there. I never touched it. And carved into the seat, fresh this time. "Stay with me." I ran out of the room, slept in the car. On the next day, I called my uncle that morning and told him I couldn't stay. He was confused. He said again, "There's no extra door." He made me FaceTime him. I walked him down the hall. The door was gone. Gone like it never existed. Smooth wall. The chair? Gone too. Only Ember sat there, eyes wide, ears flat, watching. After that, I left that house that evening. Told my uncle something was wrong with it. He laughed it off, said old homes do strange things. But then he went quiet and said something I won't forget. He said, "Funny thing is, we used to have a 4th bedroom for my older brother, Caleb, but that room was sealed off after he died, before I was born. I thought it had been renovated out. After listening, my whole body got goosebumps, and I never visited that house again.